Good evening. Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. Please note that the opinions voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network nor our sponsors. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Reaching all the way back to 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition. Here is your host of Fate Radio, Kat Hobson.
Hello there. Welcome to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and you are listening to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. If you have not got your subscription up to date, you may want to step that up because you know what? We have a new edition coming out any moment. And if you catch me at an event, I have the previous one already, and when they get here, I'll have the new ones for you too, so just find me. You will be so glad you did. And then you can go and renew your subscription and check it online, check it in your mail, and just enjoy all the fun and weirdness that's out there that's true. Before we get started tonight, I don't usually do this, but I want to give a shout out to someone who is struggling in her life right now. She has lost her brother, and it was fairly unexpected and sudden. And Brenda, I know you're listening. We miss you in chat, understand why you're not here, but I just want you to know that we love you and we are in prayer for your family. And I know that it's a struggle all the way around, but we love you. And we look forward to seeing you back when you can be here. That being said, Brenda's favorite guest, I don't know. This may be a close tie. I know there's two that she loves. I think this one's going to win. But I am so fortunate tonight to welcome my friend who is a lot of fun, a lot of interesting, a lot of traveling, a little weird and wonderful. And he is the founder, with his friend Kane, of Hollywood Ghost Hunters. He is a SAG-AFTRA actor, stuntman, and stunt coordinator. He is also an author, and that's new. His book, Ghosts Believe in Me, is going to be coming to a location near you soon. It's fantastic. You've got to get it. You've got to read it. And you'll understand a little bit more about where this man comes from. Rick McCallum is my guest. Hi, Rick. How are you?
Hi, Kat. I'm doing wonderful. I get to talk to my pal, Kat. How bad could it be?
Not too. I get to talk to you, too, and I just love that. It's not like we don't do that too often, right?
No, hardly ever.
Nah. And it could never be too often.
Yeah, hardly ever. You're the only one I see the phone number and I actually answer, so...
Well, you know, I am so glad you're here because your life is actually being altered. As we speak, you're about to head off again on yet another adventure. You are getting a book into publication. It's finished. It's wonderful, by the way. It is something that you've wanted to do, and your history is in there. If people wonder, why on earth is this man who is doing all these, what most people would really enjoy doing for a living if they were a little crazy, you know, why is he into this ghost hunting? Well, it explains that. And that's cool. So I guess since you wrote the book, there's no reason to really go over that, right?
Well, no, you can go over anything that you want to go over, Kat. You know me. I'm pretty easy to get along with most of the time.
Yes, and I appreciate that most of the time.
No, I really enjoyed writing the book. I'd be at like Scarefest or any of these conventions or out talking to people, and they would just go, "Man, you've got so many stories. You should write a book." So then I finally, after like the 500th person said it, said, "Yeah, maybe I should." And I was really surprised by how fast it came together. I mean, it wasn't like I was searching for things. I mean, I could write another book with more stuff in it that has happened. So
is that in the works?
Not just yet. I have a few more places. I'm going to Scotland July 8th, and I'm going to go to the Scottish Paranormal guys are taking me up to Inverary, and we're going to see a couple castles up there. Then we're going to swing by a place called Slains Castle, which I really want to see because it is the castle that was the inspiration for the book Dracula that Bram Stoker wrote.
Really?
And then I'm going, Premier Paranormal and Anubis Paranormal in England have invited me to come over there to go to a very haunted theater. So I may do that. And actually Eileen Murray and Tommy Moyes, also from Scottish Paranormal, have invited me to go to Chillingham Castle, which anybody that's into the paranormal
oh my
has
gosh,
to go to
really?
Chillingham. Yeah. So
that's huge.
I'm going to be a busy little guy.
Yes, you are. And I love that when you go over there, you take your time, you enjoy your travels, you're there long enough to fully appreciate the experience and enjoy it. And then when you come back, you have such wonderful things to share.
Yeah, and you know what else, too? I've made some really great friends in Scotland. I really have. I mean, there's Brian Harley from Premier Paranormal, and Ryan and Gregor and Kyle and Jonathan and Tommy and Allie and all the, Eileen. All the people from Scottish Paranormal have been wonderful to me. Actually, they made me a lifetime member.
I know, and that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing I like about them, they are the real deal. And I have never before seen a ghost hunting group that has a dedicated storefront research center that people can stop into and tell them their stories, look through the books and stuff like that, and bounce ideas off the guys, where they have all the editing stuff, all the audio stuff, the monitors up on the wall so you can see past hunts they've been on. It's amazing. And I mean, it's not in somebody's garage. It's not in somebody's basement. It's a dedicated storefront. So
I
mean,
don't know
it's
anybody
awesome.
else who does that.
I don't
Truly.
either. I mean, I was so impressed when I saw that.
Well, I've been really impressed because I started following them and joined their group online. And they're educators as well as experiencers and seekers. They are fantastic about sharing what they know, and they're developers too. They work on equipment. If I'm not,
I actually have a piece of equipment that Jonathan Garraway made. It's like the Cultus box. It's like similar to the Frank's box. And the Spirit box, but it's bigger and, like on steroids. And it was amazing because I decided to try it out here in my apartment. And I was, I got it all adjusted to where I thought it should be. And I was asking, is there anybody here with me? And I was getting, like the Spirit box would get just a blip, maybe a word. And then I said, no, really, is there anybody here? And a woman's voice came through and said, we are here. I mean, I almost jumped out of the chair and ran out of the room. I mean,
well, but that's not
scary.
the first time you've been told stuff like that.
No, it's not even close to being the first time.
In a residence of yours, though.
Oh yeah. Well, there's two spirits that I know of in this apartment, and the funny part is, other people see them much more than I ever have. I usually just see them as shadows, but there's a lady here, an older lady who actually passed away in this apartment, who likes to pull my hair. I'll be sitting here watching TV, and she'll pull the hair on top of my head. Another time I was reading something. I was leaning over my desk reading something, and I felt these two hands on my right shoulder, real gentle, and then push down. And it was like, your grandma trying to read something over your shoulder. And it was so gentle. I felt my shoulder going down. I was like, oh, and then I went, holy crap, someone's leaning on me.
That would be disconcerting.
Yeah, but it was so gentle. It was like, that's my pal. But there is another one in here that has scared the living tar out of a lot of people. My landlady came over one time. Now, I live on the second floor, and there's a walkway around, like a balcony walkway. And we were standing out there, and she was looking into the room, and we were talking, and all of a sudden she screams and runs around the corner. I went, what's the matter? Come back. And she comes back. She goes, I just saw a big black shadow walk across your room. I said, oh, happens all the time, right? And she goes, happens all the time. It's been happening here since I moved in, like forever ago. And I said, it won't hurt you or anything else. So she stands there, and she goes, it happened again. And she runs around the corner. So, yeah, there's other people. The one, though, I know I'm droning on, but this one's too good to pass up. The one that really pissed me off, I don't know if I can say that on your radio show or not, but it really did because it involved my 6-year-old nephew. His mother was playing in a tennis tournament close by, and she asked if, he could hang out with me until they were all done. I said, yeah. So I brought him over here, and Gianni, his name is, and he's your typical little boy. I mean, he's hyper and loves to wrestle and, all that stuff. And we were wrestling. I was down on my knees, and we're wrestling and stuff, and he's just as giddy as can be and as happy. And all of a sudden, he stands straight up and puts his hands in front of his crotch like kids do when they're getting yelled at. He just kind of folded up in on side of himself, and he just stood there. And I said, Gianni, what's wrong? And he goes, Uncle Rick, a man just walked behind you, right? Oh. And I had never told him anything about ghosts. He's only 6. I didn't think it was time for him to hear anything about that, So I didn't tell him anything about here. And, I mean, he just froze. I mean, I've never seen anybody, that, scared. But he's a pretty tough little dude, right? So I said, all right, I got to look. And he goes, no, don't go. And I said, Gianni, if somebody just walked behind me, I have to go. I said, where do you go? And he goes, into the bathroom. And I said, he goes, wait, I'll go with you. So I had 6-year-old backup, so I wasn't afraid. But there was nothing in there. But many people have seen it, so it's not like it's my imagination.
Well, I would have been ill too if that had happened with one of my grandsons here. I don't know how you knowing you, and given the fact that I know you were keeping cool for him, that, I'm just really surprised that you were able to not be stern when you had the opportunity after he left. Did you address that matter?
Oh, indeed I did.
I would expect that.
Oh, indeed I did, and it was ugly. I got no response, but if he was here and listening, he's wise to where I stand on this. I was like, don't you ever do that to little kid again. I mean, I was not real happy.
Well, it's your space. You're supposed to be able to own that and let them know that's not cool. I know that.
Well, I've done that. I've done that.
You have to
before.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I actually had an occurrence that was going on here, and it's a very strange story. Half the people will tell me that I'm full of caca, but I'm not. If anybody knows me, I'm about as honest a person as you'll ever meet. Yep. I was sitting here, and I started seeing black shadows go zipping through my apartment. I mean, like, like streaks. What was that? And finally, I got up one day, and I was coming out of the kitchen, and something, I used to have 2 Dobermans that were 135 pounds, something roughly that size and black came out of the wall right at my legs, at my left leg. And I just instantly, because I saw it coming, I jumped across the room, just to avoid whatever it was, just out of reflex. And I turned around, there was nothing there. And I thought, maybe I just made a shadow. Now, I've lived in this apartment for over 25 years. I know every single shadow, but I still wanted to check it. So I kept going back and forth. I couldn't make any kind of shadow. So just a few moments after this, I walked to go into my bathroom, and I have a little hallway there. And as I turned to go through the hallway, something about the size of black mass, about the size of a football, went right through the wall at my face. And I mean, I, reacted and, just fell backwards and it went by. And I thought, why are these things attacking me? And then it dawned on me that they were both on the exact same line. And I thought, man, I wonder if there's some sort of way for them to get from point A to point B by going right through here, like a portal of some kind. Because it was the same exact thing. And I realized it wasn't anything that was after me. I was just kind of walking in the way of it, So there was another stunt guy lived down on the same line behind me. And he had this cute little girl, 5-year-old, and they would come over and knock on my door and borrow movies. Mm-hmm. Now, this is before I ever started Hollywood Ghost Hunters, before I told anybody I had any interest in it whatsoever. He comes up and he says, hey, can I borrow some movies? This had just happened. I said, what kind of movies do you want? I'll bring some out and you can pick what you want. And he goes, we can't come in. I said, just let me get some movies for you. He looks at me and he goes, is your apartment haunted? Out of the blue. And I said, well, yeah, I really think it is. Why do you ask? He goes, mine is so bad with these black shadows flying through it. I went to get a priest and he came and blessed my house. And I said, really? And he says, didn't work.
Oh, wow.
So like 2 weeks after that, he moved out. But it was very, very strange. But I came out of my bedroom one night and something stood up in front of me that was much bigger than me, and I'm not little.
No, you're not.
And it blocked out the light on my microwave, so I knew there was something between me and the light. It was like 2 a.m. And when I saw the movement, I instantly threw up my hands because I thought it was burglars. I was going to defend myself. And when it went up, like Shaquille O'Neal size, I was like, oh, boy.
That will give you pause, yes.
Yeah, but I could see the silhouette. How you would see something backlit, you would see the outline of it. Mm-hmm. And it was huge. And it was man, right? And I swear I could kind of feel like the vibrations coming off of it, and it was trying to intimidate me. And I'll tell you, it was doing a damn good job of it, right? But I wasn't going to, I wasn't going to give into it. So I just stood there, and I waited probably 20 to 30 seconds. And like I said, I saw it kind of rose from the ground and stood up. And as it went past the opening, I have a cutout that goes from the kitchen into the dining room. And you could see the microwave with the clock on the back. And when it went up, I thought, maybe I'm just seeing something. And when it went up and blocked out the light, I was like, man, there's something between me and the microwave. There's no doubt about it. So I waited, like maybe 20, 30 seconds. And then I faked like I was going to go one way and turn the other way and flip the light on, and there was nothing there. But this is what really got to me. I was writing a script, and the script is about the battle between good and evil. And what I had just written was a scene where a policeman gets caught, and these demons drag him in, in this tower that's part of the book or part of the script. And the head bad guys, the henchmen for Satan, are standing up there, and they say, throw him in the middle, have your fun with him. So one guy gets in there, and the cop just beats him down like a little kid, and all the demons all start hissing and going on, and he goes, all right, Trega is the bad guy. He looks down, he goes, you two, get him. And the cop beats the hell out of both of them. So now these demons are not really happy, right? So Trega says to his henchman, he goes, go get him. So this guy walks out, and this guy starts throwing kicks and punches, and they just bouncing off this guy. And the guy grabs him and slams him on the concrete, drags him across by his neck over to Trega, hands him to him, and Trega grabs him by the neck and holds him off the ground where he's just dangling, looking at him in the face. And the guy looks over to the side. He sees a pile of human bodies laying there. And he's just looking at Trega. And Trega gets mad. He goes, why aren't you afraid of me? And the guy kind of whispers under his, because he's being choked. He says, I can see where this is going to end, right? And, nods his head towards the bodies. And Trega says, well, if you accept Satan as your Lord and Master, I'll spare you. Well, the guy reaches into inside his vest and pulls out a crucifix and sticks it in Trega's face. He goes, sorry, buddy, I already picked my side. Well, Trega snaps his neck and kills him on the spot and throws him in the pile. But the whole point of the script is you have to choose a side and stand up for it.
Yes.
Right? And things happen through the whole thing. But it was so weird. The minute that I had written that, I got thirsty. When I finished that, walked out here, and then this thing stands up in front of me. And I'm like, could those possibly be connected? Yeah,
I would say yes.
Did somebody send something here to,
Challenge
give me a warning?
But you know what?
So
I'm going to have to stop you. Because
you
when
can't stop me. You can only hope to control me.
No, I have no hope of that. But we are going to be up on our first break, and I hope you enjoy it. We will be right back after this. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the flip side.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. But let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back. You are listening to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I am Kat Hobson, the voice of Fate Magazine online, and thank you so much for joining us. I am enjoying my friend Rick McCallum. He is sharing experiences and stories, and I stopped him midway when he was describing something that I don't want to see in my house. Welcome back, Rick.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I didn't much care to see him there either.
I know. It's just really alarming when things happen in what's supposed to be your safe place, and sometimes you just have to handle it.
Well, there's more to the story, and I mean,
Please share.
I didn't put it in the book, but like I said, I got tons of stuff. I can write another book. There were a couple girls that came over to my apartment to use the spirit box because they desperately wanted to contact their dad. So I just let them in my living room, and they had 2 tablets, and they were writing down every word that came out of the spirit box. And for all the paranormal people out there, they know the spirit box is like 1 word every 10 minutes, or something that's like that.
If you're lucky.
Well, yeah. Well, this thing chattered nonstop for 45 minutes. I was in working on my computer, and I could hear it. Well, what had been happening to me, now this is a couple of months after the thing stood up, I had started to see, and I've never heard of this, white shadows going through my room.
White shadows?
And I was like, yeah, I've never even heard of white shadows. And then I started seeing out of the corner of my eye, like these twinkling lights, like if you ever saw Star Trek when they were, teleporting, that's what it looks like out of the corner of my eye. I see these lights twinkling, right? And I would look and they would automatically go away. So I've learned when it starts not to move, but I can still see it. It doesn't stay for very long, but I can still see it.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time I thought I was having a brain aneurysm or something, but turns out that's not the case. But I came in and I sat down with the girls and I said, I need to ask a question or two, seeing as it's so active. And I said, hey, there's white shadows going through here. What are they? And it, typical of a spirit box, says something like elbow or lint or macaroni or something like that.
Something helpful.
And I said, yeah. And I said, no, I really want to know what the white shadows are. And I swear, it said scent protection. And I was like,
I love that.
I was thinking to myself, if the dark shadows was the bad guy, maybe the white shadows are the good guys, right? So just
Stands
by
to
happenstance,
logic.
one of the girls just happened to say, well, are you good or bad? And it goes, loving. And I was like, the good guys are here. So that night, the girls were gone. I was coming out of my room, and for only the second time in my life have I ever heard this voice. And the first time it saved my life. So this time I'm walking out, and I heard this voice, and it said, he's here. Now, I instantly knew who he was, okay? That nasty bastard that was here before, right? So I walked into my living room, and it was late at night, and I just went off. I said, you no good for nothing coward. You show yourself, and I'll send you right back where you came from. But you won't show up because I'm not alone, right? And nothing showed up, nothing happened. But I have not seen a shadow, black or white, in years. So I think the little army helped me run them off.
Well, it's really interesting to me because recently we were talking about that, and you have told me several times that you've heard a voice twice and that it saved your life. How did it save your life?
Well, the first time I ever heard it was in Brentwood, Tennessee. My dad and my evil stepmother, Vandy, who, by the way, is adorable. That's why I call her my evil stepmother, had gone to Australia for a month. And they asked me, because we had a family business, if I would come back to Tennessee and keep an eye on the business while they were gone. So I'd had my 280ZX stolen and bought another car. And after I bought the other car, they found the 280. So I figured, you know what? It's registered in Tennessee. I'm going to just drive back and sell it back there while I'm there for a month. So I got back there and I put an ad in the paper. And you have to understand how my dad's house is. He was in kind of a well-to-do area, and the houses weren't that close. And it was kind of a rural area. A lot of country stars live in this area. And he lived up on a hill, so that when you went up and to get down into the garage, you had to drive down underground almost to get under the, to get into the garage. So I'm inside there, and I thought to myself, you know what? I had bought oil and stuff, and I said, you know what? I'm going to change the oil for anybody that's going to buy it, right? So I jacked the car up, and I got the oil pan, and I got my ratchet, and crawled underneath the car. It's like 11 at night. And I crawl underneath the car, and I put the thing in. I'm trying to pull it, and the bolt just doesn't want to come, right? And I'm getting a little ticked off, so I give it another good yank, and it doesn't come. and I get ready to give it, my best Superman impersonation, and I heard the voice, the first time I ever heard it, and it's weird because I hear it behind my right ear, down lower, right? I don't know why it's there, why it picks that spot. If anybody's out there listening that knows, let me know. But I heard this voice, and it said, "Let it go." And I was like, I'm looking around like, I heard a voice. Now, I didn't instantly think of,
that.
I crawled out from under the car, and I'm looking around. I open up the garage door. I look outside. There's nobody around. I'm the only one in the house, right? So I closed the garage door, and I went, okay, I'm suffering from some sort of delusion, right? So I get back under the car, and I put the ratchet on the thing again to take the bolt out. And the voice said again, but very sternly, when it said, "Let it go." I mean, really authority in the voice. So I was like, wow, this is, I think I'm going to listen to this. So if you know how low slung a 280ZX is, they're very low slung.
Yes, they are.
So I slid out, I'm flat on my back, and I'm facing up, to the bottom of the car, and I slide out from under the car, and just as I cleared the car, it fell off the jack. And I was so close to the car that I actually felt the side of the car go through the hair on top of my head.
Wow.
If I had pulled that thing one more time, I would have been under the car.
Absolutely.
And there's no doubt, because nobody else knew I was there. It would have crushed me. And if it didn't kill me, I would have been under there for a month till somebody figured it out. So, yeah, there's no doubt, whatever it is, saved my life.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, me too.
I know, right? I'm glad you listened,
Yeah,
because that had to be, the first time, delusion. The second time, you listen.
Yeah, the first time I just figured I just didn't want to do it,
Right.
And my dad's voice a lot of times would just say, "Let it go." So I was like, I can hear the old man telling me just sell the car without changing the oil, right? Is what I kind of figured. And then when then it said very sternly, "Let it go," I was like, okay, there's something's up. And I'll never forget that. I will never forget the sound of the jack going and the car going boom and bouncing right behind me. And I actually felt, because my hair kind of sticks up on top, the side of the car went right through the top of my hair. I was laying on my back, and I was like, boy, I tell you, I sat there and I shook with adrenaline probably for 15 to 20 minutes. I got up and I was walking around. I was like, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Were you doing that thing that guys do where they bounce big and make great big motions because the adrenaline has to come out somehow? Because every man that I've ever seen terrified, that seems to be what y'all do. Whereas I would just fold up inside myself and sit there.
I didn't really do that. I got up, I walked around, and I was like, man, oh man, oh man. And then one of my dogs, Mogul, came up to me and he's looking at me like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" So I started petting the dog and just sitting there going, "Wow, that was close."
I am just so amazed by that, because you have told me several times, that voice saved your life, but you've never told me how.
Yeah, well, it's in the book. That one I did put in the book.
But I wanted other people to hear too. So
yeah, well, I want them to read the book. Get out there and read the book, you bunch of bums. Of course, it's not published yet, so I can't call you a bunch of bums. But in the future, if you don't read it, I will come to your house and call you a bum.
There you go. Oh, don't do that, because you know what? People are going to send you messages and say, "I did not buy the book. Show up." Because they want you to show up because you're so much fun.
Well, you know what? I'm going to have RA go there, because RA will show up and he'll eat all her food.
Yes.
I mean, little petite RA is only 6'5" and 335 pounds. So, I mean, he can pack away a good month's worth of groceries in one sitting.
Well, but I'll tell you, I have actually, enjoyed dinner with RA, and he did not eat what I would expect to sustain that weight. He was...
Yeah, well, you want to know how he will eat a lot? Offer to buy him dinner.
I'll let you do that.
He'll find out how much that boy can eat.
Well, I tell you what, I really like your cohorts.
They're very good guys.
They are very good guys. I haven't really had a whole lot of chance to talk with Kane because you can't get to him. And I don't interrupt when somebody's talking. And if we're just hanging out, I don't want to be pushy. But R.A. will sit there and converse for days. He's almost as talkative as you.
Well, Kane is very much like me. I mean, we're very much alike, unfortunately, for Kane. I mean, for the people who don't know, Kane Hodder is the guy who played Jason in the Friday the 13th movies, and R.A. is the guy who played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw 3 massacre. And if you ask R.A., you say, R.A., which Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie were you in? He'll go, the best one.
Absolutely.
The best one.
He was, he's not bashful. I like that about him.
Well,
but he's not braggadocious either.
Kane's never been accused of being bashful either.
No.
And I don't think I have either.
But you know what? Y'all all interact. It's really fun to watch y'all when y'all are together at a site. Because it just, y'all click so well.
Well, we're really friends.
It's
that. Not like, it's not like a group that was made up for something. It was just,
Absolutely.
We're all friends. We just enjoy hanging out together. I will tell you something that was funny. It's Scarefest. This one guy comes up to our table. Now, Kane's at one end, and then Ari's in the middle. I'm at the other end. This guy comes down to me, and he goes, you guys are really cool, but, a couple of these other groups have their own TV show. And I said, yeah, well, we've done 300 movies. We win.
Ba-boom.
Yes. Yeah, kapow.
But I don't know. I just don't picture y'all as like being the keeping score kind of guys, because every one of y'all is so confident in your own skin and in your own careers. Y'all have worked together for decades.
Well, I first worked with Kane 37 years ago.
Right.
And like I like to tell everybody, I was 5, he was 3. We were only stunt babies at the time.
Stunt babies. Absolutely.
Babies, yeah. A movie called Lone Wolf McQuade is where I met Kane.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I got beat up by Chuck Norris for my very first stunt.
Did you know how? For your very first stunt? I mean...
Well, it's pretty easy to figure it out when you're getting beat up. I mean, it was...
Dodge, duck. Well, because... No. And I wanted to touch base on this because, you are also a coordinator, a stunt coordinator. So it's your job, and Kane does that too. I don't know about Ari, but I know you and Kane both are coordinators. But it's your job to know the physics, right? The logistics of how not to die doing your job, or have someone else die doing their job that you might care something about. But that's a huge deal.
Well, it's so funny. Everybody thinks that stunt people are daredevils.
Oh,
and
no.
it's exactly the opposite. I mean, we block out every single thing. We practice it, we block it out to take out all the possible things. Now, there's still margins for error, and people can still get hurt no matter how well you set everything up. That's why they use stunt people instead of the actors. If the actor gets hurt, the movie's over.
Right.
If the stunt guy gets hurt, there's more stunt guys. Hate to say it that way, but that's the way they look at it. So, yeah, it's a tough job. I mean, you're putting other people's safety in your own hands.
Absolutely.
Your own. So you really got to pay attention to what you're doing. I mean, I've done a few things that when I did it, I knew right off the bat, and every stunt guy's had these, they're called thumpers, that that it's going to hurt like hell. I mean, when you get thrown through the air into a steel wall, or through barrels and things like that, it's going to hurt. No matter how you plan it out, it's going to hurt.
But you still do it.
Well, it's better than having a real job.
I am 100% sure that y'all do the absolute best you can to not hurt badly. So,
of course.
And I know that.
Of course, it's okay. It's okay in movies to get hurt if you're a stunt guy, but you don't want to get injured.
Yes. There's a difference.
So, yeah.
And
so that's
injured is not making money, right?
No, all these stunt guys saying, well, I broke 28 bones and stuff like that. And I remember me and Kane were standing there. This one guy goes, yeah, I'm a stunt man. I busted like 28 bones. And Kane goes, well, you're not very good at it then, are you?
There you go. And I can picture him saying that too. Because,
yeah, I mean,
he was.
Kane's not. He's not.
Kane
shy.
is not. No, because the night that you first introduced to me, when we were doing that ghost hunt in Lexington as the voice of fate, I was, and you had told me that's what, it should be, and this, that, and the other, and I was still taken aback because I didn't expect that many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little flustered, and I was like, well, it's just been announced, and Kane looked at me and was like, it just was. I said, you're right, Kane. Thank you so much. He's wonderful. I mean,
no, he's actually so much nicer than people know.
Well,
I mean, he's actually a very kind guy.
He is.
And you know what's so strange? This is a little off track, but it's really cool. Whenever we're at a convention or anything, and a little kid with autism comes by, they automatically go to Kane. And one of the mothers actually went up to Kane afterwards. She goes, thank you so much. It's the first time my child has ever looked at somebody in the eye when they were talking to him. But, I mean, they'll climb Kane like he's a tree. They'll just go for them. But, they're just so attracted to him. And
I've actually seen children react to him that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarre. I have the same thing, but it's just little babies. Little babies just are fascinated by me. I mean, I'll be in the restaurant, and they'll be waving at me. They'll walk over to my table. All my friends crack up. They'll see babies come in. They go, okay, watch this.
Well, when we come back from this break, I am so going to go into the book a little bit more. I think that there's a lot that you have to share. I know that I love it, so I am looking forward.
You do know who the first person to read the book was, don't you?
I do.
And I believe that was the voice of Fate Magazine Radio, Kat Hobson.
I love it. And I've just loved that you sat down and you did it, and you've been so motivational for me as friends, but with how you stuck to that and got it, I'm almost done too. So it's teamwork.
It's not that hard, actually. If you decide you're not going to try and write a book all at one time,
mm-hmm.
If you just write a little bit every day, all of a sudden you got a book.
All of a sudden.
Wait a minute, there's a book here. Looky.
And I have children's books now too, so we'll talk about that.
Nice.
But we have got to take this break, and y'all, we will be right back. Y'all to come back and enjoy a little bit more with my friend Rick McCallum. Thanks for being here.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I am Kat Hobson, your host, with my guest, Rick McCallum. Rick has written a new book, and I'm so excited. It's Ghosts Believe in Me. And I am telling you, it's wonderful. I am not sure when it's going to go to publication, but it can't be soon enough. And I know that all of the followers of Hollywood Ghost Hunters, as well as Rick's personal followers, are excited. The book includes a lot of personal experiences, some of his family history, which will explain how he interacts, and all kinds of cool stuff. So, welcome back. I stopped you.
Well, thank you. I just wonder how all the people would react if they listened to what we were saying when we were off the air.
I keep saying that somebody should should record breaks, but it's not going to be me. There's so much that happens during them, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Well, it is. There's a lot of things that get covered that can't necessarily just go straight to the air. So that's always fun. And
that's when you yell at me and tell me to stop it.
That is enough, young man. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm going to send you to your room. Good. That's where all my stuff is. I like being in there.
There you go. It's my spot.
That's
well,
right.
You know, I really was serious when I said that you've been very motivational, because I was getting so overwhelmed, because I was trying to do it the book as opposed to, well, here's this happened there, and here's this, I met this person there. What did you hear?
You didn't hear the voice?
What did it say?
When you said, I can't remember exactly how you said it. You said, what I do, and a man's voice said, do what? No, you're going to have to listen to the tape of
I
this
will.
and see if it's in there.
We'll find out,
because it came through to me clear as a bell.
Well, let's ask, because we've got some people in both chats. If anyone heard anything, let me know. Oh, well, that was quick. Yes, they heard it.
Yeah,
So,
it said, do what? A man's voice said it while I was listening.
it was probably somebody that thinks, she's never here. How is she writing anything? And I'm not here right now. But, I mean, I'm here right now. But I'm having to be on the road a lot. So they're probably wondering, this woman is, what is she talking about? Oh, they're confused. But
No,
it is a big deal.
Like that myself.
When you sit there and you get overwhelmed and you do it to yourself, it's kind of like, oh, are you kidding me? So when you told me just write this much a day or a session, whatever you're doing, and I thought, I can do that. And you've helped me with that in a lot of different situations. Just break it down. If you need to do this much, then do it incrementally. And
exactly.
It helps. It helps. It helps tremendously.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people seem to think if they start a project, they have to finish it in 5 minutes.
I'm kind of that way. I know you're shocked.
No, I'm not shocked at all. To be honest with you, I'm surprised you didn't write the whole book in one sitting. But no, it's just like whenever I go to buy something and it might be a little expensive, and I used to always say I'm not buying it, but then I sit there and I say to myself, I'm going to own this probably for the rest of my life. It costs $500. Hopefully I'll make it 20 years. That's only $25 a year to be happy with what this piece is. I'm buying it. So a little math and a little extrapolation goes a long way.
Absolutely. Well, and you did basically sit down and write a chapter a session, right? Or a few pages.
I wrote a story each time I sat down.
Right.
And some of them are longer. Some of them are just pretty quick. but it was, and I didn't try it. When I wrote this book, I didn't try and write it, and as a book one after another. I just wrote the stories that I was thinking about, saved them, and then put them in order of pretty much chronological order when they happened. And actually turned out to be pretty easy to do.
And it turned out to be very interesting and very well done.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I actually have reread it, and there's actually a couple spots where I go, "Ooh, that was good."
I know. I've read a lot of it over and over.
Yeah.
Because it's I do that, but you have a lot of fantastic moments in there.
Yeah, I do have. I've been lucky. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I've got to go to a lot of places. I've got to see a lot of things, and I'll tell you one of the best compliments I've got was from Gregor Stewart, who's like the head of Scottish Paranormal. He put down on my Facebook one time, and he goes, "If Rick is around, the spirit is there."
I saw that.
Yeah, so that's it's a pretty good compliment.
It's a great compliment, especially considering the source.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like these are a bunch of bums,
These are some excellent investigators. I can understand why you enjoy going out with them so much.
Well, they're fun guys, too. I mean, they really are. I mean, all of them are fun, and they're so accommodating to me. Actually, Gregor said something he wrote. The guys were coming to pick me up, and this is after I hurt my leg, when it was really bad. It was only like 3 days after I fell down the hill and destroyed my knee. So I was limping pretty bad. But I'm standing there, and I'm waiting for them, in St. Andrews, and they pull up, and he goes, "Well, I'd seen him on TV, and I saw him on Ghost Adventures and stuff like that." And he says, and, I was just a little nervous to meet him, and first off, I'm not all that. Let's put it that way. Right?
I think you're all that, but you're one of my best friends, so
That's why you're one of my best friends, because you think nicely of me. But anyway, he says to me, he says in the thing that he wrote, he goes, "Yeah, and when we pulled up, he was standing there, and he's like a really big dude, and we were kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?" He says, and Rick walks up and introduces himself, and he looks at our shirts, and he goes, "By the way, you do know that Scottish Paranormal Investigative Teams, spells spit."
I remember you told me that.
Yeah, and he laughed, and he goes, "Well, yeah, we knew we were going to get along."
Yep. Well,
yeah,
you get along with all of them, and I've been so living vicariously through some of the evidence that y'all get. I love to go back when they share too on their pages. Yeah. And they're very educational. They don't mind having a discourse about what they caught, where they've investigated, any of that.
Oh yeah, that's it's one of the reasons I really like going with them. I mean, they are the real deal. I mean, they do. It's not a game for them, but they still have fun while they're doing it. And so in many ways they remind me of Kane and R.A. They're really fun when we're driving somewhere. It's hilarious. I'll be yelling at them because they got the Scottish accents, and I'll be yelling, "Speak English!"
Oh dear.
But yeah, actually, in the book, there's several things that happen that are very hard to believe, and I've made sure that the guys from Scottish Paranormal that had actually seen what was going on put their version of what was going on besides mine. Just to validate what was going on. Matter of fact, Eileen Murray validated the thing that happened at Hellfire Club, which was really cool.
And I know I'm not going to ask you. I know that there's reasons that I'm not. So when he's ready, can you?
No, I can tell you this part.
Okay, please.
But I won't tell you what happened at Leap Castle. I mean, you read it, but that's going to be something people are going to have to find out for themselves, because it's hard to explain. But when we were at Hellfire Club,
period.
Yes, there's plenty of stuff in that book. I mean, there's the real Mary King's Close. There's Leap Castle. There's Hellfire Club. there's all these really famous places. Bachelor's Grove. I mean, I was one of the first persons.
Bachelor's Grove was freaky. Grove.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the first people to ever ghost hunt there. Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Sloss Furnaces. I mean, you know that one very well. I mean, the Ullman House, the Houdini House. I mean, Birdcage Theater, Pioneer Saloon. I mean, I've gone to pretty much most of the iconic places.
Yes.
So, I mean, I do have quite a bit of interesting stories, but so there's other stuff for people to read. But the thing that happened at Hellfire Club, which was so interesting, is that I won't tell you the story part that goes into what happened at Lepp Castle. But when we got there, Jonathan had, and it's like a mile and a half up a mountain. That was interesting with a bum knee, but
No doubt.
I made it up there. But anyway, we get up there, and he's got a Frank's box, which is, very good at picking up spirit voices. I mean, that's, I think it's the top of the line thing for doing it. And we're up there, and they're talking and talking. Now, one of my relatives, I mean, long time ago, obviously, was a member of the Hellfire Club, which is one of the reasons I really want to go there. Well, they're trying to get stuff on the box, and the box is not responding at all. So I just said, you guys mind if I try? And they said, no, go ahead. And I said, hi, my name is Rick. I'm from the United States. I came over here because I have a relative that was a member of the club, John Wilkes, right? And it said something, and then it goes, hi, Rick. And, I mean, their eyes got really big. And I said, yeah, I came all the way over here. And it goes, said a couple other things. Like a minute later, it goes, relative? I said, yeah, I'm relative. And I said, by the way, I want to check to make sure you're really a relative. Did you really dress a baboon up like Satan and turn him loose in the club? Right? Because I knew if he did that, he was a relative of mine for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even the guys there, I mean, it's actually in the book. Eileen Murray it has it written in the book where she was standing there and wrote down everything that she heard. But, after a minute or so, it goes, baboon. And, I mean, they were all just astonished. No, and what had happened was they were not recording. So a little while later, I came over and they said, yeah, we weren't recording. It was terrible. I said, well, let me talk to them again. And it did the same thing.
That is so cool.
So that was, yeah. So it's, I think that's why Gregor says, if Rick's around, spirit's around. So.
Well, yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I've had many a wonderful place, like, out at Roslyn Chapel and out in the forest in the middle of the night by myself. It's a...
Yeah, that's a little insane.
Well, I'm one of the few people that really, really enjoys ghost hunting. I've done it since when I was 13, which wasn't last week. If you saw any of the pictures that Kat put up, I'm like, the old man in the sea. But, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm one of the few people that will go out in the middle of the night. And, like, I go walk through Roslyn Forest in the middle of the night all the time. I go, just with my K2 meter and my voice recorder, and just to see what I can get.
I'm going to interject here that that's not the same as me or someone else doing that. You are a very powerfully built and powerful person. So I would think twice before I mugged you.
Well, that would probably be a wise decision because
I think it would.
If somebody tried to mug me, and actually I've had people try to do that in the past that have probably decided that's not shouldn't really be their livelihood. Matter of fact, I'm not sure they ever got up after we were done.
Well, I could see that because you're a very sweet and wonderful person, but there's some things that are just out of line.
Yeah, it was like try and rob me and beat me up and stuff. I'm gonna have to fight back. That's just the rules. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I mean,
absolutely. Like that's where I was going.
Third grade. I mean, they started teaching you. Okay, now here's what you do. You just punch him in the throat and throw him on. It's like it was a weird childhood. Let's just put it that way.
But you survived it beautifully.
Yeah, that's been just. I had a weird childhood, and let me just say that.
And now here you are.
Yes, a totally messed up human being, but having a damn good time.
There you go, rocking your world and other people's too. It's a good thing.
It gets lonely in my universe. There's not many people that go by.
We're at the top of the hour. Did you realize that? We have to take a break.
I did not realize that. That's not my job. Mine is to babble endlessly, and I've been doing a great job of it.
You're excellent. I love it because you know what? It is so not babbling. But y'all, we will be back. This is the top of the hour news break. This is a great time to listen to the news, hope for some good stuff. And you know what? We can do that because we can be the change we want to see. But it's a good time to fill up your tea mug, beer stein, whatever you're in the mood for. But we will be back. Thank you so much, and you come back too.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Old Edwards Inn and Spa in downtown Highlands, North Carolina, a European-style luxury mountain resort. The Romantic Mountain Escape Package includes 2 nights with spa credits and dinner. More information at oldedwardsinn.com.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is on his way to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates for talks on Iran. NPR's Daniela Cheslow has more.
Pompeo says he'll bring together the countries that stand against Iran.
Not only throughout the Gulf states, but in Asia and in Europe that understands this challenge as it is prepared to push back against the world's largest state sponsor of terror.
Tensions have been up after Iran shot down a U.S. drone last week. President Trump says he called off a strike on Iran Thursday, but he has not ruled out military action. Pompeo says the U.S. is open to negotiations with no preconditions to ease tensions. Last year, the U.S. withdrew from a deal that lifted sanctions in exchange for Iran agreeing to abandon nuclear weapons. Daniela Cheslow, NPR News, Washington.
Democrats in Congress are criticizing President Trump for using the threat of mass immigrant deportations as a bargaining leverage. As NPR's Bobby Allen reports, Trump delayed a planned sweep of thousands of migrants and urged Democrats to make changes to asylum laws.
Trump's sudden reversal on his plan to have Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrest families in 10 cities comes just as Congress moves closer to approving a $4.5 billion package in border aid. The funding will address humanitarian problems on the border, including improving conditions for children in detention. Had the raids gone as planned, the bipartisan border aid deal could have been endangered. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she welcomed the delay. She originally called the planned raids, quote, heartless. And Representative Joaquin Castro, the chairman of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, said threats of targeting immigrants shouldn't be a negotiating tactic from the country's president. An ICE spokesman said in a statement that if Congress doesn't make it easier to deport migrants, there's no alternative but to arrest people when they illegally cross the border. Bobby Allen, NPR News, Washington.
In Turkey, unofficial results show President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's ruling party lost the race for mayor of Istanbul for the second time in less than 3 months. Istanbul is Turkey's largest city. NPR's Peter Kenyon reports the ruling party candidate has congratulated his opposition party rival.
Turkey imposes a media blackout on election news while the polls are open, but within minutes of the blackout being lifted, ruling party candidate Binali Yildirim gave a short speech congratulating his opponent Ekrem İmamoğlu. The results are not official, but İmamoğlu looks to have a sizable margin of victory, much larger than the 13,000 votes he won by in late March. The ruling party challenged that result, and Turkey's election council ordered a rerun of the vote. Istanbul voters reached by NPR said they were angry at having to vote again and were determined to send a message to the ruling party. İmamoğlu ran a positive campaign, largely ignoring attacks by Erdogan and his party. Peter Kenyon, NPR News, Istanbul.
And you're listening to NPR News. Producer and songwriter Dave Bartholomew has died. He was known for his work with pianist Fats Domino, and together they helped shape the sound of R&B and rock and roll. NPR's Andrew Limbong reports Bartholomew was 100 years old.
In the 1950s, Dave Bartholomew helped popularize the New Orleans sound.
The whites was just beginning to learn how to dance, and everybody wanted to see Fats.
Dave Bartholomew spoke to the public radio show Rock and Roll America in 1999.
It was the New Orleans sound. It was new.
Monday, I'm Walking, and Ain't It a Shame.
You made me cry.
Bartholomew's songs were recorded by Elvis Presley, Ricky Nelson, Chuck Berry, but it was his work with Fats Domino that got him inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991. Andrew Limbong, NPR News.
At the weekend box office, Pixar's Toy Story 4 debuted in the top spot with $118 million, but that was below expectations of $140 to $150 million opening weekend. Pixar says it's the fourth highest-ranking animated film opening ever, not accounting for inflation. In second place, Orion Pictures' horror remake Child's Play opened with $14 million. It's a remake of the 1988 film that had Mark Hamill voicing the knife-wielding doll Chucky. In third place, Aladdin with $12 million. I'm Janine Herbst, and you're listening to NPR News from Washington.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. I am Kat Hobson, and I am the online voice of Fate Magazine here on Fate Mag Radio. Thank you so much, because you have so many different options and you chose us. We appreciate it. I am just such a fortunate woman to be able to welcome someone who is truly a good friend of mine, Rick McCallum. Rick is the co-founder of Hollywood Ghost Hunters. He is a SAG-AFTRA actor and stuntman, stunt coordinator. He's also an author. He has a new book coming out, and it is called Ghosts Believe in Me, because they do. Welcome back, Rick. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so sorry I had to interrupt you to go to our break.
That's okay. But, before we go too far, I have to throw a shout-out to some people.
Please do.
A lot of people like Brian Harley from Premier Paranormal and Mandy Fellows from Anubis Paranormal in England, and the Scottish Paranormal guys had hosted me at many a place, right? And there's a lot of inner cliques in the paranormal world, as you're well aware of.
Yes.
And I wanted to do something para-unity, to get everybody together. And a friend of mine, Craig Miller, was the general manager of the Real Mary King's Close. And he finally told me, he says, why don't you just, come here and do that? And I said, I can't afford what you guys charge. And he goes, well, I'll give you a special rate. And I said, yeah, knowing you'd charge me double, right? And he goes, no, we'll do it. He says, we'll do it for free. And I said, all right. So I was able to invite those guys, all those groups to come ghost hunt with us, which was really great because everybody got along and they were all mixed in together, and it was really a cool night. And one of the cool things was one of the girls who actually worked at the Real Mary King's Close, Kat Mowat, who ended up being taking over as the manager for a while after Craig went on to bigger and better things. But she came down, and she's a pretty good ghost hunter herself, so yes. We had some really good stuff there. But getting being there with Craig and Kat Mowat, and all the other people, I mean, I had to shout them out because it was actually one of the most fun things I've had, because just watching everybody, play together nice was really cool.
I'm glad that you did that, because that's one of the things that I'm so impressed about with you. You love bringing people along, as it were.
Oh, I really do.
You're completely about the experience and sharing the experience and getting to watch people have experiences. When we were investigating in Lexington and we had that thermal image experience going on, it was so amazing, and it just kept occurring. And I was so excited, and I'm sitting there, chatting away to whomever that was. And when you were listening to it, you were like, you sound so sweet and Southern. I'm like, yes, had them fooled. So, all good.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, but it's so much fun when you can have an experience with other people.
It is.
I mean, that's what I really, really like about ghost hunting, and that's why I like going with different groups and different people. And
it's great.
I've had a lot of people over in Scotland and Ireland, Scotland and England, and actually Denmark. Jette, a friend of mine in Denmark, has asked me to come up there and ghost hunt. So that may happen someday, except for it's a 5 hour ride from the airport to where the ghost hunting thing is. So that's a bit much, I think. So if we find a ghost hunting place closer to the airport, I'm probably going to go.
I have to think there's probably a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot there. I have a friend in the Netherlands who is a ghost ship hunter, and he is also a treasure hunter, but like with the things, the metal detectors and such.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. But the different things that are available to research and investigate and experience. He has a photo of a ship where there used to be water, which I couldn't believe he actually got the shot, but it was cool. So, you never know what you're going to get a chance to experience when you're investigating with someone new. It's cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to see things from somebody else's perspective. I know when we were at Colonel Allensworth, it was really cool because there was Michelle Wagner and Jamie Men's house and her daughter Allie and Mickey. I think his last name's Thompson. We all went out ghost hunting together. Barry Fitzgerald was with us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good time. Just seeing, because Allie's was 16 at the time, so seeing a younger person's view of stuff, and then Barry's from Ireland, seeing his view of stuff. So it was actually cool. Michelle's a psychic, so seeing what her view was, and then Jamie also has all the haunted doll collection and everything else like that. So everybody had a little something different to offer. So it was really kind of cool watching how everybody did stuff. So that's one of the things I really like about ghost hunting.
Well, I find it interesting too because I do bring some skills to the table that I don't always share. And
well, you also hide your skills quite well.
But I use them.
I know you do, but you don't talk about them.
Well, I do not. You need to get a show, and then you can interview me, and we can talk about them.
There we go. No, I won't bring it up on the thing because I know you don't say anything when we're at a venue. So
yeah,
I will keep it to myself. But trust me, people, there's a whole lot more to Little Cat Hobson than you remotely know.
Well, but you know what? It's like you said with your voice that has saved your life.
Yeah.
I have had experiences that I learned to trust. I thought I just had deja vu all the time. I didn't know what that was. So I listen, or I recognize an experience when I begin it, and I know what's going to happen if I choose option A. So if I liked it, option A is cool. If I did not like that outcome, we go anywhere but option A. So things like that are very effective.
We'll stick with A. That's it. We're just going to A. There will be no other options. That's it.
I'm a firm believer in listening to my voice that says...
I try not to listen to mine. Oh, you mean my inner voice?
Your inner voice.
Yeah, I listen to that.
Yes. So, do you ever feel like you're being guided by people from your past, your familial relations, or good friends who may already be gone?
It's a good question. I have had them interact with me, but as far as being guided, I don't think so, because I go a very swervy, curvy path, and
you do that, yes.
Try to pull me down. But yeah, I've had several interactions with people who've passed away, and I can tell you twice that my father has interceded on my behalf, and that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Yes. Who else?
Actually, pretty much just my dad has been in there. I'm sure my mom would come back and help me. My grandma.
Sure too. Do you
I'd
think
be sorry
your inner
for
voice
my mom
is
and
one
grandma
of them?
were there. What's that?
You just got me tickled. I would feel sorry for them too if one of your guardians, as it were, over your actual life felt they had to intercede on your behalf, I believe they would bring a full team.
Well, my mom and my grandma, I mean, I used to call my mother Mohammed Mami. I mean, she was not afraid. She was not afraid of Godzilla. And my grandma had a patch over one eye, so we always called her Grandma Pirate. So I mean, it was when they showed up, you knew everything was going to be okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
I love that. But I just said, I knew about your dad, and I just didn't know if that was something that happened as far as guidance or, guidance more than protection kind of a thing. I get guidance. So
no, mine was much more protection than anything. I'm not so sure I would follow my dad's guidance. Just to be honest with you, he was pretty much of a rebel his whole life up until about the last 10 years when my evil stepmother made him settle down. But
he was never boring.
Oh no, he was never boring, not even for a second. Yeah. So, but we did live in a very, very haunted house in Texas, very haunted. And that's also a main part of the book. And I mean, it's so weird that my mom and dad divorced when I was about 10, but they both had paranormal experiences their whole lives. My mother never told me that she did until about a week before she passed away.
I found that odd too.
Yeah.
Because, she knew your fascination.
Yeah, but that was just the way my mother was. She's, pretty quiet about stuff.
I really found it interesting, especially when she told you and what she was seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very, it was a very interesting moment.
Yeah, I was kind of ticked off that this is, she told me something had been happening for forever. And I was like, and you never told me? Don't you think that's something I'd be interested in? She goes, oh, no, he's not here to hurt me. I think he's watching over me.
He was.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure he was.
And she knew that. And, she was pretty something else. Your dad was, too.
Well, they couldn't have been more opposite.
No.
My dad had wanderlust, and, like I said, he was a rebel. He would make a ton of money and then blow it and go on to do something else just because he was bored.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother, on the other hand, had a job at the same place for 40 years. So, I mean, they couldn't have been more different. My dad drank way too much. My mother didn't drink at all. I mean, they were polar opposites of each other. But they both were, really good people. And, that was one thing they had in common. They didn't get along at all. that was for sure. But,
Well, sometimes people are better apart than together when both are good at what they do and good, period. But the combination is kind of like that oil and vinegar, oil and water.
Yeah, and that's
not oil and vinegar.
And that's what it was.
Blend. But they're great, but they're just not great together.
Yeah,
and
well,
it happens.
When my dad was a young man, he was a wild man. So no matter who was there, it wasn't going to work. He had some not growing up to do, but more experiences to have, and then settle down.
And he did.
And I swear, if it wasn't for my evil stepmother, he would have died years before. Just to be totally honest.
Well, Vandy's a little bit of a saint here and there to be an evil stepmother.
Well, indeed. Matter of fact, when we were at the Pioneer Saloon the other day, you should have heard him crack up. I said, yeah, this is my evil stepmother, Vandy. And they went, Vandy. I said, yeah, she's named after her dad, Bob.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You are such a hoot.
They should know better than expect something serious out of me.
It's never going to happen, but we're at a break.
No.
And we are going to be right back. We have questions in chat, and we're going to get to those. So, y'all come right back.
I love chat.
I know, right? And we have 2 of them going. So that's fantastic.
Yay.
So we will be back after this. Thanks for being here, and make sure you come back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. And we are back. Thank you so much for returning with us, because you know what? This has been a great show so far, and we have so many questions now for Rick. And if you have one, come on into chat. It's www.wbhm-db, as in digital broadcasting.com. And we also have our Spreaker chat going on, and it's active too. So here we go. We have Katie, who wants to know, what is the publishing date of the new book?
Well, I just finished it like 2 weeks ago, and I've talked to 2 publishers, and they both are really interested in having it. So it's just a matter of getting them to format the book into book form, and then going for it. So I'm pretty sure, I'm still looking for publishers, but I do have the one that I think I'm going to use. So
I think that's cool.
Yeah. So I would say in a couple of months would be.
I'm excited to have a hard copy. So.
Well, you shall have a hard copy. Actually, I asked the guy if he would be able to have books for me for Scarefest if I get invited back. And he said, yeah, they'll make that happen. So it'll be out before September.
Yay. That's exciting.
Yay. Yeah.
Because then you can just hand it to me signed.
There you go.
Well, I know your rule. It's not it's not autographed here.
That's right. If it's not autographed, I don't want it.
Yep. And I am going to use that line. Let's see.
That's right.
Another question from Swanee, and Swanee is a regular. I just absolutely love it. And Katie said, cool, something to read in Key West. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So, Swanee says, any type of equipment that you prefer to use?
Well, they tease me because I use the K2.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys, it's funny because the guys from Scottish Paranormal will tell you, they said, we've never seen anybody get, the reactions from a K2 meter that I do. They'll say, you can't get K2 meters in here, and I'll ask a question, it'll go all 5 lights, and they'll go, what? So I understand. I know that you can get false positives from different things, but I have learned to keep them to a minimum. And I've also learned to double check everything that I ask about. Like if I say, there's somebody here, and it goes off, and then I'll say, so there really is somebody here? And if it goes off again, then I'll say, okay, that's probably validated. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I actually do that I've never seen anybody else do that actually really works. I was in 3 floors below in the Travel Lodge in Edinburgh with a friend of mine, and we were getting really good K2 hits, 4 and 5 light responses. And then finally I said, okay, if I ask you how many people are here, will you answer? It goes all 5 lights. And I said, okay, are there 2? And it goes all 5 lights. And my friend's looking at me, and I said, are there 3, 4? And he's looking at me like, what are you doing? It just lit up on 2. And then I went, are there 5? And nothing. Then I said 2, and it goes all 5 lights again. He goes, oh, I get it. So
no doubt.
Yeah. So I do a couple different things with it, and I've had some great responses with it.
Well, I think that's awesome. The very first time I had activity at Old South Pittsburgh was with a K2, and I didn't even know it was happening. Because I was shagging out of this, make you sweat bullets doctor's coat that I put on just for fun. And my K2 was just sitting on a rocking chair going insane. I was like, oh, yeah. Well, hi. I'm so sorry. I was just sweating bullets and had to come out of this. So let's have a conversation. I ran out of questions before it got through talking.
Yeah.
I just
sometimes
finally
you get something and it just keeps going. I mean, it's really cool. It's worth, that's what I'm saying. That's one of the fun things of ghost hunting, when you start getting intelligent responses to what you're saying.
I was just shocked.
And frankly, I'm not really used to intelligent responses with the people I hang out with. So,
hey, wait.
Hey, wait a minute now.
Wait now. I have something to say about that.
Just hold on a second. Actually, I was not talking about the female wing of my friends. Yeah, it's really interesting. Last week I was at the Pioneer Saloon, and there's a lady there who had been murdered. She was a bartender, and she got strangled and molested and stuff like that. And her name's Ruby, and Ruby has kind of taken a liking to old Rick, right?
Well,
and
of course,
Jill cracks up about it. And we're all sitting there, and they had the new K2 meters, the ones that look like the phasers from Star Trek. And I had mine, and there were two of those and 2 of the other ones in a REM pod on the table. And Ruby, and she had the voice recorder going too. And Jill says, "Who's here with us?" And it goes, "Ruby." And then Jill goes, "Your boyfriend Rick is here," and everything went off. I mean, all of us just cracked up. I mean, everything went just berserk, and it was funny.
That is.
So evidently,
cool.
the only girls that I get to pay attention to me have passed away. So,
as if don't even. You're so funny.
It was funny. That was funny.
But she does like you.
Yeah. I mean, when I go there, the last time the time before, we got this on tape too. They said, who's here with us? And he goes, Ruby, right? And I'm sitting there, and then he goes, Rick. It's like, and me being the shy type, I'm like, Ruby, baby doll, how are you? So
you're such a hoot.
I'm sure they like being talked to, just like they were Stiller.
Well, absolutely. That's why they're doing all that. They're just thrilled to be there talking to you. So,
well, you know what's funny? Just the way you said that brings up something that I want to make a point of, is that one of the things that I learned a long time ago, I get a lot more evidence and responses and stuff like that since I stopped ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just go in and go, hi, I'm Rick, and, if you want to talk to me. And I found out if I explain things, like I see so many people go into places and say, they're looking for a ghost from the 1600s or the 1700s. Could you come over here to this green light? First off, they have no idea what a light is. And this machine will light up, and they're like, what's a machine? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I usually do is I'll sit there and say, my name is Rick. I'm holding this in my hand. If you come close to me, you see this little light right here that I'm pointing at? There's 4 more, and I'll hold the thing. If you hold it down, it'll flash real fast, right? And usually turn off. So if anybody's trying to cheat, it's not going to work. And then I'll just say, and then if you come close, it'll light up, and then we can communicate. And then I figured that we're on fair ground because now it knows what it is and how to use it. So many people just go in and say, yeah, could you make this light up? How? Who are you?
And why should I?
Info, please.
Yeah, what is this going to do to me?
Yeah,
people laugh at me because I explain things like that too. I mean, I do lengthy explanations because you know me, there is no short sentence. But it works. Because they don't know.
I really think it helps.
I do too.
Well, you saw what I did when we were at Short Mountain Distillery.
Yes.
When I held up my thing and I said, look, just to show you, it won't hurt you. And I held it up against my face, see? And I said, see, it won't hurt you at all. So I think just those little things help. I mean, sometimes they might seem a little silly, but for something, you have to imagine something from a couple hundred years ago is looking at us and looking at that and going, what in the world?
I'm sure they say that about some of the attire too. But, I agree. Because if it's not something of their era, it's a little scary. They know they're a ghost for the most part. And you're there talking to them and you've got things that they don't know if you're trying to trap them or if, there's a whole psyche still there with a person who, for whatever reason, is still at a location.
Well, that's why I say when I stopped ghost hunting with that hunt mentality, and just like, hey, I'm here to say hi, how you doing? And just see what happens. And it seems to work. More stuff happens since I stopped doing that. So that's a little bit of advice for the people who are listening.
Yes, and it's good advice. Well, we have more questions.
Good, love questions.
Denise wants to know, do you use any ITC device besides the Frank box?
I use the Spirit box. I don't have a Frank's box. What I have is a Scottish Paranormal box that one of the members, Jonathan Garraway, made for me, and they also gave me a Cultist box, which is made by Mark Cultist, and he's got some fairly well-known boxes over in Europe. So when they actually made me a honorary member, they gave me both of those boxes. And I don't know if I told you this on the air or not. It was really weird. I decided to try Jonathan's box here, and I set it up, and I was listening to it. And I was asking questions, and I was getting just a blip every once in a while. And finally I said, well, are you here? And a woman's voice came back and said, we are here. And I almost ran out the door. It came as,
That's your loving protection.
But I wasn't really expecting a real answer, especially one that, like horror movie, like, we are here. Like, ah!
Oh, please. I know you're not going to go down to being afraid of horror movies. That's how you make your living.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of horror movies, though. I mean, I've been in like 50 of them, but they're just not my favorite.
It's not my
genre
genre
I don't like seeing
either.
people get hurt. It bothers me.
Yes, I can't watch them. No offense, but you feel the same way. They bother me. They just hurt to watch.
Yeah,
emotionally.
Yeah, they stick with me. I just can't. Of course, I am the guy that got chainsawed in half through the crotch in Hatchet 2. So I mean, if anybody's got a thing saying this is not fun, then it's got to be me and Colton, who was the other guy that got walloped.
Yes. Well, I'm not even going to go to the Friday the 13th, but I don't like them sometimes. Well, I don't think I've ever actually watched a full horror movie. So other than
to me, the two
Blob
scariest movies ever was The Exorcist and Jaws. Now, The Exorcist,
Jaws wigs my brain.
I had a major epiphany when it came to The Exorcist. When I was growing up in Chicago, my closet was open because I lived in a very tiny room, and it just had a pole that went across so I could hang my coats and stuff up. And after I went and saw The Exorcist, I had two things. So there's a bunch of stuff in the way you could look behind it. But anyway, I'm laying there in bed and I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking of the girl with the spinning head and everything else.
Right.
And for some reason, I just got in my mind that she was in my closet.
Oh, no.
So I got up and I said, you know what, I'm going to look. And I started to move the stuff aside and I went, what are you going to do if she's really in there? And I went, yeah, let's just push this back and go to bed.
Yeah, let's just go on down.
Yeah, and you know how the world works in a weird way? A friend of mine that I play golf with all the time was the guy who did the stair fall, that 125 stairs the priest went down. Yeah, that was a friend of mine, Chuck Waters. So it's bizarre how things come around.
True.
Actually, another guy that I worked with, he was the guy that actually got chopped by the shark for Robert Shaw, doing the stunt for it. Dick Butler did that. Yeah, so the two movies that I was terrified of, the guy that went down the stairs and the guy that got eaten by the shark, are both people I know. So I'm not that scared of them anymore.
There you go. Yeah, Jaws, because I'm a water baby. I love the Gulf, and I just love salt water. So I pay attention. But I'm still out in it because you know what? You can't live in fear. So.
Well, you really can, but it's not a good idea.
Well, you don't have any fun. And you miss out on things that matter to you.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen so many people like that. Actually, there's a girl named Hannah Shaw, who's a friend of mine, who put on Facebook here, said, I heard the voice too. And I wrote back, that was weird. She goes, totally. I'm glad you said something because I started to think it was just my imagination.
Well, I'm really surprised by how many people heard that. So I am going to go see if I can clip that for an evidence file.
Yeah, because it was pretty well. Send me a copy.
I will.
Yeah,
I have something else I'm going to send you too, but I want to get to
cookies. Oh,
now they would not be good. They would be broken up.
Cookies are always good.
Yeah, but they'd be in pieces. But
I've been known to lick cookie dust.
I could see that, especially chocolate chip that were homemade.
Yeah, I've been known to do that.
Let's
see.
Are
there any more questions? I'm ready.
All right, let's roll with this. Carl wants to know if you have used SLS cameras or if you used dowsing rods.
I do have an SLS camera, and it takes a little getting used to because on the one I have, it actually shows things kind of in reverse, like the left side is on the right side, so it's kind of hard to get your bearings a little bit. But I have used it a few times. I haven't had a chance to get it out too much, but I did use it on one hunt. And it was weird. One thing that kept happening was there's like something on the girl's hands, that it was like almost, another hand over her hands. It was, and that was very strange.
In what way over her hand? Like holding her hand, or?
Well, no, it actually looked almost like a blue ball around her hand. Like her hands were encased in a blue ball. Yeah, and that was a real girl who was out there that was investigating. So it was just kind of weird. I use thermal imagers too, which I really like. I've gotten some really good stuff on those.
I enjoyed that, and I now have that same one.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
I'm excited to get
and I
out
had a
with
really good one where something waved at us and then vanished. We had another one where something followed him out into a hallway, and I hollered because it was right behind him. I said, "Jack, something followed you." And Jack yells from another room. He goes, "I'm still in this room." We were like, "Well, then two things just walked out." So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I like the thermal imager. And I forgot what she said. What was the other one? Do I use
dowsing rods?
Dowsing rods. I have tried that once, and I really want to do it again. I did it down at the Queen Mary. A friend of mine was the person that used to give the tours, and I went down there, and she and I and a friend of mine went around, and there was a girl there that had dowsing rods, and my friend tried them, and they seemed to be working for him. So I always kind of wanted to try those because I think they would work for me. So I don't know why. I just have that feeling. Things seem to, I hate to say this because every ghost hunter thinks this, but things seem to come to me, and it's not always something good. And if you read the book, you're going to find out because I had one of the most insane freaking experiences in history of the world.
Yes.
And I relay it in the book. So, and, I've had weird things too. I mean, I've been, pushed in the back trying to push me down the stairs. Fortunately, I was starting to sit down and my big butt was heading south instead of forward. Otherwise, I would have got launched right down the stairs with people watching,
Why do you think that happened?
I don't know. Just to be honest with you, I wasn't provoking. I don't do that. I just don't know. Wow. And it was funny. This is so funny. The girl, Maritza, from San Diego Ghost Hunters, called me, and Brandy was the girl that I had taken to the ghost hunt. Right, she was really interested in it. So we were coming back. I was walking her to her car. We're downtown San Diego, and that can be a little sketchy late at night. And Brandy at one time was a model, and she's just the sweetest person in the whole world, and I wasn't going to let her walk down there by herself. So besides that, she made me some cookies. So, if you want me to walk into your car, be a sweet person and have cookies, and I'll do whatever you want. But as we're walking there, I get a phone call from Maritza. She goes, "You're not going to believe this." And I said, "Okay, what am I not going to believe?" She goes, "Listen to this." And I listened to it, and she says, "Okay, who pushed Rick?" And it goes, "Spirits." And the one girl goes, "Spirits?" And she goes, "Spirits? How many spirits pushed Rick?" And it goes, 5. He's big.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, and I actually have that on tape. It's pretty cool. But the weirdest thing, now, check this out.
No. You have to wait on the weirdest thing because we have a break.
Oh, no! What a great segue!
I know. We'll be right back. Y'all come back too.
You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. And I am joined tonight by my friend Rick McCallum. And Rick, I cut you right off and I am so sorry, but you know what? Cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly. But this is such a cool story, and I mean, it's something for the people who use the spirit box. We were all sitting downstairs, and we were at the William Heath Davis House, which is actually a museum. We're sitting there, and the spirit box goes, "Outside, beware, men, wasted," right? Police, right? And Maritza, who was the one who invited me and, was kind of in control of the place that night, looks out the front door window, and there are three guys trying to break in the front gate, which is 8 feet high because it's, all wrought iron and it's a museum, right? So she goes out, and I'm standing there watching, and these guys are drunk and really start giving her a hard time, and they're still trying to pry open the door and everything else. So I walked out there and I said, knock it off, right? And they said, "Why? Who's going to stop me?" And I looked over and I said, "Open the gate, Maritza." Right? And they kind of went, "What?" I said, "I am." Right? So they started swearing. I said, "So I got an idea for you. Why don't you just get your drunk asses out of here before we call the cops?" Right? And that kind of caught their attention. Right? And because they're like downtown San Diego, the cops are everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
So they flipped me off, and off they went. But the fact that it said "outside, beware, men," wasted police, and that's where I thought of the police, was because they were so wasted. I thought, okay, let me just go by that. So, I mean, talk about forewarning us of something that was going on outside. I mean, that was awesome. I have that on tape too, so that's actually pretty cool.
That is way cool.
Yeah, mysteries of the universe.
I like it when the universe is on our side.
Yeah, me too. I kind of wish they'd give me some lottery numbers so that I can live in a, higher style than I have now.
Oh, please.
When I ask a girl to, on a date and I have to take her to Wendy's on the 99-cent day, doesn't usually go well.
Well, but you know what? That 99-cent menu is pretty decent.
Oh, keeps me alive.
And they have gluten-free options, so it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's ice cream.
Oh.
So how bad can that be?
Yeah, well, anything's got ice cream involved is okay by me.
It's okay by the hubster, too. So let's see.
Oh, the Hodster. And no, I'm not going to tell anybody what HOD stands for. They'll have to figure it out.
They do have to figure it out. I think some people understand that clearly now. Let's see. We've got the K2, we've got the dowsing rods, we've got the updates for you on the... Oh, I'm going to go ahead and let people know that Swanee in chat brought this up, and I wasn't going to do this, but you know what? If you were seeing the blue hands, other people might be also. And Swanee said that I think that's part of the program, talking about the SLS, the blue hands, it changes color when you open or close your fists. And open hands are one color, closed hands are another, and the programming is getting very detailed. So I'll let her know that I had told you about that.
Yeah, and make sure that I said thank you, because like I said, it was the first time that I'd ever used it, and it didn't really come with instructions, so it was I was trying to just make my way through there, and that was one thing I kept seeing was the blue ball hand. So knowing it's just part of the program is good to know.
Well, it is, because you don't want to be out there getting something else, and there you go. You just don't understand it. I won one. I won an SLS camera at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash last year, and I have yet to get that sucker to crank up. And it's not their fault. It's just I think it's a programming glitch, but we're still trying to get that fixed. It is something that I'm very excited to get functional, because I've used them. My ghost hunting buddy Lori Dorsey has one that she lets me play with, and Shelly Robertson has one now too. They are so much fun. It's just when you're at the old Paulding Jail, which you have to come with me to. It is in Paulding.
I do. I want to go. I want to go to Gettysburg also, because that's like one of the major places I really want to go to.
It's astounding. Have you never been there?
Never have.
Oh my gosh! Last year was my first time, and I was so astounded. It's not just where the actual battle was in Gettysburg. The whole area was a battlefield. You had the hospitals at the Jenny Wade House, and you had things happening everywhere. I would
Jenny
love
Wade, that
to
was
see
the girl that died while she was in her house.
Mm-hmm. But I would love to see you experience that, because it's...
Yeah, I would.
It took my
really
breath.
love that.
When I was driving into town.
When I interviewed Nick Groff for the magazine, I asked him where would he if he could go back to one place, and that was where he said, he goes, oh man, without a doubt, Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I were going to go back someplace, that's where I would go. If I were going to go someplace for the first time, there's so many options. I just don't know what I would say.
Yeah, and you really can't tell until you go.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, I've gone to some places that were supposed to be crazy haunted, and I've got there and nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I might go back again and have it just blow up. So, but yeah,
it's a tough call.
Well, Chillingham is a place I really want to go, so I'm lucky that Tommy and Eileen invited me. Although we're going there like during the day just to see it, so it's not like I'm going to get to ghost hunt it. But maybe after I talk to the owner while I'm there, maybe that can happen.
I don't think that there's going to be any shortage of activity there during the day while you're just seeing it.
I'm sure. I mean, I will have my trusty K2 and voice recorder with me even during the day.
Yeah. Well, I think Sloss is more active during the day because they're actually working.
Well, Sloss was really haunted when I went.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's
amazing. Actually it was the first place I'd ever been touched by a spirit. Was down in the boiler room.
That place is off the chain. That place is weird.
Yeah, something bumped into me and slid across my chest, like somebody trying to get out of an elevator. That's what it felt like. And I thought it was one of the people that was with us, and I kind of got a little mad because I had the camera up to my eye, and I didn't want people whacking the camera into my eye, So I said, all right, who bumped into me? And they said, nobody. And I turned around. They were all like 5 feet behind me, and I was like, well, somebody, oh, wait a minute. And right then, and it's true that when they say a spirit touches you that you turn ice cold, because that's exactly what happened. And it's exactly what happened to me when something tried to attach to me at the Pioneer Saloon. I turned ice cold, and everybody could feel it as I was walking by them, how cold I was. So that actually does really happen.
That's astounding. I think that's astounding, the full experience at Pioneer. Tell them how you know that something was trying to attach to you.
Oh, well, it has to be a guess. I mean, there's really no way of knowing it. We were all sitting there. Jill Padavese is the one that runs the ghost hunting there. And we were sitting at the tables in the Clark Gable room. And I was at the spot where the local tough guy had got caught cheating at gambling and was going to beat up this guy. And the other guy said, well, you should have brought a gun then, and shot him twice and killed him right on the spot. But we're sitting there, and I had my K2 in front of me, and because the two tables were round, it looked like a figure eight, so the girl sitting next to me had no place to put her equipment. So she put her K2 next to me. And Jill starts talking. It was actually the first time I'd been there. And I'm sitting there, and I hear Rick, out loud, and I said, did anybody hear that? And they said, yeah, I heard Rick. This is actually all on tape and on video. I said, anybody hear that? And they said, yeah. So we're sitting there, and she says, she's talking about the spirits. And all of a sudden, all the K2, the two in front of them, both of them go 10 lights, all 5 lights. And Jill says, and right then, as soon as it went all 10 lights, I got instantly so sick to my stomach. I mean, I thought I was going to throw up right then, and it got proceedingly worse, right? But she says, I think the spirits really like you. And I looked over and I said, I'm not so sure they do. And she goes, why? What's wrong? And what's funny is right on the voice recorder, when I said I'm not so sure they do, a woman's voice goes, we do, right? So then Jill says, what's the matter? I said, touch my forehead. So she touched my head. She goes, you're like a block of ice. And the girl next to me reaches over and touches my arm. She goes, you are so cold, right? So I knew it was happening just because of what had happened at Sloss. Something touched me and I got cold. And to get this cold, something had to be like trying to really not just touch me, but, you know, attach to me.
Merge with you.
Yeah, and I think it was more than one because when it said we do, right? Anyway, I got up and went outside, and I was out there for about 10 minutes, you know, just trying to get, you know, my senses about me, you know, trying to get my stomach so it didn't hurt quite so bad. And Jill came on. I said, all right, let's go back in and try again. So we walked inside, and I mean, all of a sudden it hit me like a tsunami again. And I just turned and looked at the people, and I said, look, guys, and, you know, 40 years of ghost hunting, I have never left a location, but I'm just too sick. I said, I don't want to ruin your night. And I turned around, and as I started to walk away on the thing, now, I wasn't the one who figured out what they were saying. This is the people from Pioneer listen to it. But what they say, it says, and it sounds like it to me, it says, as I started to walk away, there's a man's voice says, turn Rick back. And you see me stop, and I turn around and I look at everybody, and I said, it was really nice meeting you. I'm taking off. And I turn around, and you hear a man's voice say, release him. So that was pretty freaky.
And it did?
Actually, I was sick all the way till I got back to my evil stepmother's house, which is about 35 miles away, and I was still sick. You know, I actually pulled into CVS and got one of them big things at Tums and just started power chugging them. I was so sick. But, yeah, it was interesting.
Well,
it was really interesting.
On that note, we have less than 2 minutes left. But I was not going to stop that experience. No, of course not.
Ooh, shoot,
if I knew
really
that, we would
there
have
for a
an
minute.
issue. That's knowledge that one should not have.
Yeah.
So your new book is Ghosts Believe in Me, and it is coming out at least by September. You are all over the place on social media as far as you have a Hollywood Ghost Hunters page, you have your personal page, and
Hollywood Ghost Hunters magazine page.
Yes.
And if you go to HollywoodGhostHunters.com, you can see the things, the interviews with Zach Bagans, Aaron Ryder, Kane Hodder, and Nick Groff, along with some of the adventures that I have had. And it's free, so if you don't like it, you don't get your money back.
You know, I am so glad that you have been here tonight, and I'm so glad to know that the book is coming out. I'm so proud of you for getting that done. I think it's cool, and I'm excited to see people's reaction to it. I know that I just love it. I enjoyed it so much.
I've sent it to a few people, like Darla, who was on earlier, was one of the people in the chat room. She really liked it. A girl that ghost hunted with us up there, Deb White, she just loved it. So, I mean, I'm getting really good feedback. So,
it's a reason
hopefully
for that.
Everybody will like it, you know.
Of course they will.
I didn't write it so they wouldn't like it. That wasn't my intent.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you so much for being here. I can't wait for the next time.
Check for that voice. I want a copy of it because I'm telling you, somebody said, do what?
Yeah.
And
they were probably being snarky because I'm not working here. But that being said, I will give it to you because so many people heard it. It had to be caught on the recording.
Well, I would think, like I had two different people tell me just on Facebook, you know, that they heard it. So,
absolutely.
Well, thank you for having me on. I always enjoy talking to you, as you well know.
Ditto, kiddo. Thank you for being had. Well, so
I will be had by your shows anytime you want me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And for all our listeners out there, y'all are the reason that we do these shows, and we appreciate every single one of you. I think that it's a gift that y'all give me when you give your time to come and listen, and that's why I try to have such wonderful guests as Rick McCallum. And we will be back. Tomorrow night, you will be listening to The Paranormal Pride with Denise Pride Moore, 7 to 9 Eastern. Nope, that's not right. 7 to 9 Central. I will be back with Paranormal Experienced on Wednesday. Paravirtual Universe and Ghost Talk Radio are Friday shows. So y'all come back, enjoy them, and you know what? Get out there, be the change you want to see, because you know what? We have that power. We can make things happen. We can alter our world. Positivity wins every time. So thank you for being here. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.